Hello and welcome back. Today we want to talk about change and how can we or what do we need to do to bring about effective change? Because as we are seeing in our world, change for change's sake is not good enough anymore. We can't keep just making changes and going from the frying pan into the fire,
Yeah.
moving laterally with equally bad options. So what do we need to do to create change and fundamental shifts that work and are sustainable for the long term?
Yeah.
So before we start, maybe we can talk about ineffective changes. I think we see
Yeah.
a bit of that with the Brexit and also the election of Donald Trump in the United States. I think a lot of people comment on that these kind of policies or people are elected because people are unsatisfied with the status quo, and they don't think they have a future, so they want things to change. And because maybe they feel like there are no other means, they want just the system to change, like just blow things up wide open, and they feel like if things are shaken up, then maybe they would come out at a better side. But I think to me, or in some of the analysis that I've read, this might not achieve the effect that they want to achieve. We may as well land in a much worse place.
Yeah.
It's not a commentary on the policy or the person. It's just basically, when you have a chance to make change, like what are the methods that are more effective, like you said. So.
Yeah. Very good points. I think when people want change, they're really unsatisfied with what's going on. And most of the time, where it comes from is, having dissatisfaction. Oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And people want to change this. I don't like this, this bad thing that they don't like, but they don't have a clear vision about what they do like and what they want to have. And I think that plays a big factor in bringing about ineffective change, as you say, because you want to change something to anything, and that anything could be a worse thing, So in order to not waste your time just driving change after change after change, you have to have a clear vision about what you want and what kind of results you want from these things.
Absolutely. And if we keep with the theme of what not to do, I think a lot of people, maybe they know what they want, but they have no idea how to bring it about. And possibly they haven't considered the wider picture.
Yeah.
So in removing like a brick from the wall, they bring the whole wall tumbling down because they haven't considered what else is that brick holding up, or what else is affected by this thing.
Yeah.
So if I kick off what possibly we can do better to bring about effective change, I think the very first thing is to start asking the right questions and getting the right focus. Because I see in the world, and especially in the US right now, there's a lot of questions about how can he do this and why is he doing this. But in fact, there are no questions about the root of that. How is he able to do this? And one of the simple things is he's able because the Republican majority is enabling this.
Yeah.
But then is it right? And what needs to happen to fix that? I mean, how can how can any person or organization disrupt the world so much? Then that is systemic.
Yeah.
And so therefore the change has to incorporate the reality of that, the reality of what is underneath. Find the root, and then you can't find the root if you're focusing on the surface. So we need to change our focus and start asking good questions and asking questions that require substantive answers, you know. So that would be first.
Yep.
Yeah. So what you're saying is to take a step back and look at the whole wall before you take out that brick. I think that's a very good point. How do you think we can do that better? When as you said, asking better questions.
I think one of the things that it's missing in this picture is that you know how after the Brexit, after the election of Donald Trump, a lot of people, especially people in the media or in the city, they realize that actually people in the countryside or like more industrial cities, they are very dissatisfied, or they get the worst part, you know, part of the steak, so to speak, and they want change. But I think to me it's pretty obvious that the means that they could bring about change is very limited. All they can do is elect another person it's not the status quo. It's not what has happened before.
Yeah.
So, for example, they might have seen Hillary Clinton as the status quo because she's more closer aligned with like the elites, the bankers, and then so they want change. But it really begs the question: electing another representative in the government on the other side of the aisle, does that really bring about change, or it's just, you know, it's the same two-party system or the same existing system going on, but on a different side, on a different you know, weight or beat. I think the solution may be to think about how can we bring more options and more choices to these people who are not, you know, in the city, or they don't have access to the same kind of information or access to the government. And to me, I think this should need to start from the civil side. It's unrealistic to think that the government would just change itself, because it's an incumbent. It has a lot of inertia to stay the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
So so how do we give citizens more choices and options? I think that's the real question.
Yeah, I think in order to give them options, we have to first, or the citizens, everyone has to see all these options that could be available. And how you see that, you have to broaden your perspective. Say if you live in one place, your options are what you see, what you're aware of. In order to expand that awareness, I think it's so important to talk to people who have different opinions. And that truly allows you to draw a bigger picture and see different sides to the coin. And then, you know, when you expand your awareness, ask the right questions, find other options, that's when you can, you know, start working on this effective change. Because like you said, people are electing someone different, so they're asking for change, or they're driving change, but still in that system, you know. So it's still they're still in their comfort zone, because it doesn't occur to many people that, oh, you know, we don't have to follow this system, we can actually do something else.
Exactly.
Yes. So the thing is, but then people don't realize that they are actually in the same system. They voted for change, but in fact, it's the same, and this is happening all over the world, right? Because the governments are weeding out non-conforming candidates, shall we say, and so the people are presented with choices that politicians already are willing to live with. And it's not just governments, it's corporations, it's like the way healthcare is run, the way, you know, every system on our planet, it's all tied into the kind of mindset that is, you know, haves, have-nots, maybe it's tied into ideologies. And when people try to change it, like I said in the beginning, just change for change's sake, the fundamentals haven't been examined.
Exactly.
You know? And if you don't examine what is the base of this, why did they come about, who is holding it in place?
Right.
These are the questions to
It's a
ask.
knee-jerk reaction. Okay, I don't like this, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
change this. You don't think, oh, but why is it this way?
Right,
Yes.
That's a
right.
great point.
Yes.
And whether or not your ideals are actually gonna work, it's gonna pan out, because one of the key slogan of the Donald Trump's platform or campaign was "Make America Great Again," and I find it really interesting because there's like a fundamental underlying ideology or idea about it is that the past is better, because again
Yeah.
means, let's go back to those glory days, and we see the same theme in Brexit.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, let's go back to the glory days of
Glory
the
days.
British Empire or something like that. But the world has changed so many times over already. So it's not practical. Like, even if you block everybody from entering your country, you move all the jobs back to your
Yeah.
country, you're just going to have a backward society
Yeah.
trying to be 1980s again. You're not
Yeah.
going to move into the future. And if you notice, the social engine or economic engine of America, one of them is technology, which means moving forward, doing something new,
Yeah.
and even accepting very underlying changing things like automation and robots and things like that would actually replace a lot of jobs. But if you don't go into in the future and you want to go back to the past, it's a dead end too.
You're not gonna grow.
You're not gonna grow. You're gonna limit your development, economic growth. You're gonna go back and rely on fossil fuels, and we know that's a dead end. It's gonna end,
Yeah.
and if you don't move into clean energy, other countries would, and they're gonna be ahead. So, it's going back to your idea of have you thought this through?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that really what you want?
Exactly.
Going back in time, it's impossible.
Yes.
It's
Isn't it funny how people always think that what happened? Oh,
The good old days.
The good
The
old
good old
days.
days.
But every time they are in the good old days, they're like, "Oh God, we need to change this.
Exactly.
What is going
It
on?"
was not so
But
good.
they want to go back to their
Rosie-
good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
rosy glasses to look at the past, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the thing is, so this is the other downside of focusing just on modifying things based on the way they are. It's like
Exactly,
Einstein,
yeah.
right? You do the same thing expecting different
Yeah.
results. No.
Madness.
So, like a case in point is this whole healthcare furor. Maybe it's not to ask how can we insure everyone. Maybe the inverse question, how to make healthcare affordable.
Exactly.
Do you
Yes,
know, the question
excellent.
they're asking is how can everyone afford healthcare?
Yeah.
Maybe a better question is to ask how can we make healthcare more affordable? And so then that would mean you drop the cost of going to a hospital, you drop the cost of drugs, and then that requires a whole different set of solutions. But then that's sustainable because then
Exactly.
you don't have to be putting money in people's pockets.
Exactly.
Because they don't need that.
Yeah.
That is a great point. Yeah, how can you attack the system of universal healthcare, let's say, but you don't question why the pharmaceutical companies are charging so much, and then
charging so much.
they have such strong lobbying in the capital, and they can monopolize the production and selling of drugs, of medical medicine. So that's going to the root of the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't ask why are we spending so much on basic care. You ask why are we giving so much money to these companies.
Exactly.
Or why should it cost so much?
Yeah.
Why should only a select few be allowed to run for president? Why does only such a select few make it? Why? Because of the money behind it, because of the ads, because of media putting together debates that only cater to the two-party system. This, from my point of view, should be the focus. Don't focus on, oh, he did that and that is wrong.
Yeah.
It's the peripherals that create the situations we are in. And until we look at those peripherals and then until we look at those fundamentals that all fuse together to form this bizarre world that we live in, we can't have effective change. So if you look at the inverse of that, it's find the roots
Mm-hmm.
and then start addressing them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and I also don't think we live in a world where any one person, can
save the
lead
world.
and
Yeah,
exactly,
exactly.
and can
Yeah.
make a country great or make
Yeah, absolutely, because different people are good at different things. You might know a lot about this one area and you could lead people in this project or this area. Then you do need someone else to pay attention to something else.
Yep.
And I think we've talked about this before, to pay attention to the president's to elect their team, basically, to pay attention to the team
Yeah, that he's forming. Yeah.
that he's forming, because the president is like a face of
figurehead.
yeah, a lot of the decision making happens backstage, and this is what we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And one more thing about the health industry, something I recall, I think I read this somewhere, how we're always questioning, what, but we never question why, how are these diseases on the uprise, and what can we do to actually minimize this, by diet, good nutrition.
Yep.
We
Prevention rather than
Prevention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is even more important, because that is the true cause of how,
Exactly.
all of these things, they glue together because
Come about.
Yeah, because you are suffering from bad health, right?
Yes.
So we really have to invest in good farming stuff, take out these bad chemicals and stuff like this. This is so important, but but unfortunately, people are not paying attention nowadays more so. But then you see organic stuff so expensive.
Yeah.
Hardly, no one can afford it unless you're, it's just so ridiculous.
Right. Right.
But why I love that example that you just gave is because it puts the power into the hands of the individual.
Yeah.
Do you know, like if you are in excellent health, what do you care about your health care?
Exactly.
Well, you will care, but
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Like, I think it requires, in order to have effective change, it requires individuals to have a change of mind about who they are in society, like their role as a citizen. I think we are taught by history and by society that, we're voters, and once in 4 or 5 years or something like that, you vote, or if there's a referendum, you vote. And that's how you participate in society, in your government and things like that. But it really, like, increasingly, we see that it's not adequate, it's not enough. And the interesting thing is that there are technologies and there are ways we can participate more nowadays. Like, if you can hail an Uber and somebody from your neighborhood would just drive up, from the next street to pick you up. Why can't you do more participation in your society other than voting every 4 years or so?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So but the thing is, like, fundamentally, it requires us to think about ourselves not as just that voter. We're more empowered than that, and there are more means than we are used to or we are taught that we have. Case in point is that I was reading an article yesterday talking about, I have to kind of look back, it's the Diversity Awareness Partnership in the US. They come up with this kind of program called Creative Reaction Lab, and it's very interesting.
I love that name.
Yeah, it uses kind of design methodology, but modify a lot to kind of let communities respond to a national crisis. And this one that sparked it was, sorry, I'm looking it up. It's the police violence and killings in the US of minorities. Targeting minorities. So instead of, like, being angry or sign a participation or anything like that, they actually form a lab, inviting everybody, not just the minorities, but the not minorities or minorities from other groups, not just race, based on race, but based on other minorities as well. And then they come together and think about solutions together. How do you respond to something like that other than just being angry or just signing petitions and things like that? and they came up with like 600 ideas, and then they whittle it down into 4 or 5, and then they brainstorm how to kind of like go about executing and implementing all these
very
ideas.
interesting.
So there are ways, and technology and modern like communication, social media tools make it a lot easier to do anything, something like that. That is just like goes way beyond just voting and selecting somebody else to represent us, and hopefully they would do the right thing. So I think that's the right direction, and the starts of something citizens and individuals can do.
Yes. And as you were speaking, I just had this thought, because what that those guys are doing, they are bringing power back to the people. But what people need to realize, and I think this is why effective change is so difficult. I mean, throughout history, right? We've seen revolutions, and it's just people fighting the system. But the main reason they are fighting is because they feel powerless. They feel violence or reaction.
Exactly.
Reaction is the only way, is the only weapon they have. But it's not, because we are never powerless, right? We have choice in our own lives. We have, we can vote with our feet. We can vote with our wallets. And it's for people to start realizing they do have options, and then they are not bound to accept options that are just handed to them.
Exactly.
And if they are given the perception that they are bound, look behind that, look beyond that, and think, no, why? I can write in my vote, I don't need to vote for who you tell me to vote for. And it's things like this that we need to change, We need to think, no, there is no box. Now forget outside the box, and just facilitate the change that we require. And I think what everyone needs as a change is pretty basic, everyone wants security, we want like prosperity and things like that. It's just how the route to get to that is being misrepresented to a whole bunch of people.
Right.
And so
True.
get off that route.
Exactly.
And sometimes we take bad treatment of, ourselves or society. We just take it. We don't go, no, this is not right. We just go, oh, never mind, this is happening. So just let it be. I think if we firmly say no and go, this is not what we deserve, then people won't do it to us.
Right.
Absolutely.
Change our role from being docile and the receiver of changes to like actively being a change maker.
Believing that, like you said, believing you have the power to change, and it doesn't mean you have to be violent or reactive, but actually change happens in small things, like choosing to buy a better quality of food, let's say, choosing to not take someone treating you badly. In everyday life, we can make these decisions that actually pile up and brings about good change. It tips over at one point.
That's brilliant.
Just to build on that, to conclude, I think revolution in the old time and reform in the old times, they are really massive and violent, and it's over-sweeping of the whole society. I think in the modern world, if we don't want like massive bloodshed or like really tragedies, we can actually be more proactive and think about changes in smaller ways. Think about how like lobbyists and things like that, governments, they are actually like, the devil is in the details, and they really drill into details to change society. We can do that too. We have more number than they are. And if we, in our own walks of life, like, safeguard what we think is important and make changes in our own little ways, there will be massive changes without painful, bloody reform and revolution. But, the change will go from root all the way up, and it would be kind of inclusive of everybody too.
Wonderful. Organic. I actually heard two great summation statements from you. It was, don't let change be visited on us, make the change. And from you, it was incremental, break it down. It doesn't have to be this overwhelming over thing. And at the end of the day, so my sum up of all of that would be that true change is organic. It's not overnight. It's not someone waving a magic wand, and we should change our expectations of that. We should just look at the substance of our lives, each one of us, and then act accordingly, you know, and then change will evolve, which is the best part.
Indeed.
Best way, I should say.
Lovely
Okay,
conversation.
so are we done?
Yes.
So thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next episode.
Hi, my name is Cosmo, and I'm a user experience designer. I like to use design thinking to promote social good, and I think conversations like this is a great way to start rethinking our world. That's why I'm doing this.
Hello, my name is Gazala. I'm a big believer in providing people with the right tools to expand their perspective. I'm doing this to bring awareness to us collectively.
Hi, my name is Penny, and I really think the conversations that we have with each other in this world could do with a major upgrade. So that's the reason I'm doing this.